Hello and welcome. I am Janie Buckland with the West Virginia Few Families United for Education, and I am talking today with a number of the therapists from Therapy Services with their three locations in Morgantown, Bridgeport, and Weston. So thank you all for carving out time to join us today and to tell us about what it is that you guys do and how you can serve the families in your area. So to get started, because we do have several of you, we're going to start with you, Lauren, and you are in the Bridgeport location. So if you could just kind of describe for us what you do at the Bridgeport location to serve the students that you work with.
Sure. So we serve populations from preschool all the way up to graduation, high school, and beyond, even into college. We treat those with disabilities and without, those that might just be having struggling with handwriting or struggling with attention or participation in the classroom, kind of a broad spectrum. We work on emotional regulation, attention, direction following, all of those kinds of things. And then we go into the fine motor aspect as well with handwriting.
And so in your location at Bridgeport, what are the therapies that you guys, because I know we have some different offerings dependent on the location. So I know we have reading therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. So there at the Bridgeport location, do you offer all four of those there?
Yes, so in Bridgeport, we do offer all of those. Our speech therapists are really leading the reading program here. But we do have occupational and physical and speech therapy all here at this location.
Wonderful. Okay, great. Thank you. So let's switch over to Brittany. Brittany, you are in the Weston location, and I over the last couple of years, I've been able to kind of travel the state and get into these counties that I've never been in before and work with private schools. And I got to go to Weston, and then so there was a private school, I think Buchanan Christian Academy there close by.
Okay, yes.
Catholic school there in Weston. And the families there were talking about how excited they were to see options to serve families, because it can possibly be considered a rural area,
right,
than Morgantown. So tell us about what it is that you guys are getting to do there in Weston.
Yeah, so like you had mentioned with the rural area, we do serve people from several counties here in the Weston location. So it's kind of similar to what Lauren had said about who we serve. We serve, we can serve infants, but of course, like preschool age up until high school and college and young adults, with a variety of different kinds of communication disorders and disabilities, or just speech or language delays as well. So we can see children and young adults who have autism or ADHD, or just no medical diagnoses either, if they're just struggling in some form with communication. And so communication also can involve so many different aspects. So a lot of people do think about with speech therapy more of the speech production part, like if somebody is not able to say their R sound, but we also look at the whole realm of communication. And there's the language aspect too, which has to do with like them being able to express themselves, communicate their wants and needs, and also be able for them to be able to understand like what they are reading or what is being spoken to them, like with following directions. And we also work on the social skills aspect too of communication. So we look at the whole picture when we do our evaluation and target any areas related to communication. And so all of that really ties into academic performance and social skills too, and just independent functional living.
Yeah, I think that it's so important to raise awareness just so that parents are kind of even clued in to having assessments and for taking the right steps to identify any areas that would need improvement or that need to be addressed. So I think that I'm excited for you guys to be on today so that we can help kind of to share about the work that you're doing and just raise general awareness, because I think some families think, well, my kiddo wouldn't qualify for that, or my child is talking, you know, they can pronounce their R's,
Right.
therefore they wouldn't necessarily be as susceptible to even having this on their radar. And so I think just a general awareness, especially in a state like West Virginia, where we are kind of, we have so many grandparents that are helping with their grandchildren. Things have just changed so much. So let's move to Rebecca. You are in the Morgantown location as well as Renee is. So if you could just tell us a little bit about your role there in Morgantown, Rebecca.
Yeah, so I'm physical therapy. So like everyone kind of touched on earlier, we do serve all age ranges. We work with elderly, adults, teenagers, kids, and even infants here, especially physical therapy. That's really important. And I know in our Morgantown location, so, you know, physical therapy, we are the movement experts. So we work with kids to get them gross motorly back on track and to try to meet their goals and the family's goals as well. So we always take that into account. And then also in the Morgantown location, we have the Autism Center. So we have 2 therapists here who are autism certified, which is fantastic for those families in need of some extra training in that area. And then myself, I also specialize in a pediatric pelvic floor program. So I work with kids if they're having trouble like bedwetting, potty training, constipation, things like that. So we're pretty offer a lot of services here as well.
Wonderful. So we'll go on to you, Renee. I know you're also in the Morgantown location and working as both the executive director and as a reading interventionist. So tell us about your work there in Morgantown.
So I joined the company officially over the summer. I had been a teacher in New York for 20 years. So I had a lot of experience in the classroom, and my new passion developed into reading instruction. We do already have clients here in Morgantown that I've been seeing for reading, and we are following the science of reading approach, which is the new gold standard for reading instruction. So we are doing an Orton-Gillingham based program, and it's so exciting to see within 2-3 months the tremendous difference that I'm seeing in the kids that I've been seeing. So depending on their age range, it could look like they need work in phonemic awareness. They might not be ready to learn how to read yet. I see sometimes we jump into starting kids with sight words, and sometimes they don't know all their letters and their sounds. So they're really not quite ready for that step. It could also look like from working on all different aspects, rhyming, learning the beginning sounds of letters and sounds of words, So I really do a blend of those programs. Once a child is at reading readiness, they receive the Orton-Gillingham instruction.
Okay,
So
and that is not something that's easy to find. I have learned in working with families here in Southern West Virginia, if you find someone that is certified and using the program and tutoring, that's kind of a diamond in the rough, if you will, or a needle in the haystack, or whatever idiom we want to use, whatever analogy we want to use, because we have a lot of families here who reach out looking for tutors, and they're when they call it the reading wars, you mentioned the science of reading, like it can be a very polarizing, we have learned in trying to help direct families. It can be controversial on what programming they're using and what method they're using. And so what we want to do is really raise awareness and ensure families are connected to the right resources, especially concerning if they even think that a child may be dyslexic, and ensuring that they know the proper steps to get a diagnosis and start getting tutoring with that. So I love what you guys are doing. I love that there are multiple locations. Brittany, I want to come back to you for a minute,
Okay.
talking about Weston. Now, when you have a family that would reach out, and let's say that they are just thinking that there's a possibility their child is struggling to communicate, and maybe just like, I think for younger children, sometimes it's a question of, are they understanding, and therefore, or is there an actual communication issue? What could a family expect if they call the office? What are those first few steps? Because I think that can be intimidating for a parent. They may not be able to really articulate it. So what could a parent expect if they reached out?
Yeah, if they want to reach out, they can talk to our office, and they can get some of their information down, and we can even contact their doctor and request for the doctor's order for an evaluation. So we can kind of take it from there and get the information from the parent to get the ball rolling with the evaluation. And of course, if they have specific questions, I can always talk to them on the phone too and explain to them a little bit more about what we do. And then the evaluation would look at that full picture of looking at speech production, as well as the expressive and receptive language and the play skills and social skills. So yeah, we can help take care of getting the doctor's order, look in all of those types of things.
Right. And Lauren, if you could talk a little bit about this, just because I know as a parent, my first experience was with birth to 3. My little guy was a preemie. Can you talk a little bit about what it looks like to partner with the parent? Because I think what was really helpful for me to learn from the therapist that we worked with, and now my son has therapy, physical therapy and occupational therapy for his sensory processing, but it really is a partnership with the parent to support the child. So could you talk a little bit about that partnership?
Sure. A lot of times people come in and I'll say, do you know what occupational therapy is? And they'll say, no, speech and PT makes sense, but what about OT? And I say, we're the bridge that gaps the two, And so absolutely, sensory processing is a huge, huge topic. It's becoming more discussed, and teachers are implementing it into the classroom. Parents are doing it for children that may not even have sensory needs. Sensory processing, you come in, you get an evaluation, I give you a test, and I ask a bunch of questions, and I try to figure out where your child's, are they sensory seeking, or are they avoidant? And based on that, I come up with a sensory diet. And I try to implement that with the family to do at home, or especially right now, we have a lot of homeschool families, and I give them ideas to get through their schooling day. You coming into our office one time a week is helpful, but you have to carry it out daily throughout the entire day to make sure that your child is regulated at their best. So yes, huge partnership. We try to give a lot of ideas, strategies. We try to be cost saving and give you affordable options and creative solutions for home.
Wonderful. That is really helpful. So I want to make sure that our audience understands there are 3 different locations. You guys are offering in-person services in these 3 different locations. Morgantown also has the Autism Center, the new Autism Center. Then the Weston location, the Bridgeport. And you guys are also partnered with the Hope Scholarship Program. And so families can now use their Hope dollars to pay for their services that they receive there at Therapy Services. So have you had anybody reach out? I'll let you guys fight to talk. Have you had anybody reach out to use their Hope Scholarship funds? Is that a new thing?
Well, we really are brand new providers. We've had some existing patients that have asked about it.
Okay.
So we're in the process of brand new rolling it out. And we really looked at it as a way to provide families with choice, and also to make receiving services that their school-age children need affordable for families.
Yeah, I think it's one more barrier that we're able to remove. Having homeschooled for 17 years now, I will say that one issue for traditional homeschoolers who maybe don't have the Hope Scholarship is being able to afford these services, because if you're in the school system, you know, and an IEP, even though they're not always provided to the extent that they should be, there is that pathway. And so I'm sure that you guys do have a lot of homeschoolers that are interested in how they could work with you. So I want to thank you all. We're at time. I want to thank you all for being on today to share. And I want to encourage our audience, I was a parent that was intimidated by this process. And so I delayed actually reaching out when my little guy was an infant, because it just felt too overwhelming. I want to encourage the audience, whether you're a parent or you work with school leaders, to really reach out and make good use of these services and to help us raise awareness, whether it is speech or physical therapy or occupational therapy, that you guys have this available, and of course the reading intervention. So thank you all of you ladies from Therapy Services, and I will drop the contact information into the comments here. And I've also shared a couple of links in the event, one of the news articles kind of highlighting the Autism Center. So I want to thank you all for your time, and I'm sure that you'll be hearing from some of our families in your areas very soon.
All right,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.